Welcome to Qbe's QBE Smarthome setup. The QBE is the smart solution of Qbe, which allows you to integrate the gate automations, the QBE radio tubular motors, the home automation radio modules, the radio chronothermostat and the Qbe burglar system for the PXC2 range of control units. There are two management apps, the QBE Qbe app for the end user, and the QBE SetUp app for the installer. Let's start the configuration with the QBE SetUp app by connecting to the QBE via Wi-Fi.
Once we have opened the QBE SetUp app, we go to the network settings of our mobile device and search for a Wi-Fi network, displayed with the name QBE. We select it. We wait for our smartphone to ask us to maintain the connection on that network that does not go out to the internet. And we confirm the choice. We return to our app and we go to press the Connect to QBE button. The QBE Smarthome with the default IP address for its Wi-Fi network will then be detected. In this case 192.16891. We simply select it by clicking on it, and a blank page will be displayed accordingly, with only the QBE Smarthome in the center. Having arrived at this point, we can proceed with the search for devices, that is, the radio home automation modules in the system. We press the plus button, we select home automation devices, and proceed with the acquisition of the devices with the mode of automatic detection. To configure an on-off light point, we go to select the OH1016VL module. We add it by pressing the plus button, and we proceed to its configuration. The input 1, which will be used to connect to a push button, we rename it to light button. Let's go ahead. Output 1, used for the kitchen light. We rename it kitchen light, and we confirm the addition of the module. Having reached this point, we can press the button icon, wait for the chain symbol to appear in the upper right and drag it to the kitchen light icon. We can then associate the function it should perform when pressed to control the light. We choose step by step and confirm. In all, it will be reprogrammed automatically with the assigned settings. Let's go to add a diamond light point. We press the plus button, select home automation devices, then acquire devices, and we notice that the devices listed in blue color are the ones available to be configured, while those in gray color have already been configured in the system. For the dimmer light, the module to choose is O-dial. We add it by pressing the plus button. Let's go ahead. In the input we select the button, the description will become living room light button. We confirm the output, we rename it to living room dimmer light. Let's go ahead. And we notice that the group of objects we just entered are automatically going to configure to match the button to the light. We press the living room light button icon. We wait for the chain symbol to appear in the upper right corner and drag it to the living room dimmer light icon, going to indicate which mode this service will be operated in. We choose the dimmer mode with a percentage equal to 60%, for example. We confirm, and we see that the group of objects we just entered will then be reprogrammed with the updated settings. Let's go to configure a radio chronothermostat. With the plus key, we go to Add Home Automation Devices, Acquire Devices, and we go to manually search for our chronothermostat. In the TH550 wireless chronothermostat, we press the gear icon for a few seconds to access the configuration menu. We press it again to move to the ID search section. And at this time, we press the two up and down arrows together. There goes our TH550 wireless, been detected and is correctly displayed in the list of devices available for configuration. Let's go and add it into our setup by pressing the plus button. We go to apply our setting. But most importantly, to complete the configuration of our chronothermostat, we need to add with the plus key a home automation device that can be a radio module of 216 WL, selected in the inputs and outputs mode, to make that the inputs are both disabled. In this way, we will not have them visible in the plant structure, so as not to create confusion, while output 1 will be able to be associated to the thermostat valve, while output 2 will be able to be disabled as it is not used for the time being. Let's add, and we note that in the structure you will have the relay module with the valve and also the thermostat TH550 wireless. At this point, we must now match the valve to the thermostat. We hold down, we drag it to the thermostat, and we associate its type of choice between heating and cooling. In our case, We continue the example by considering the valve for heating. All the objects thus configured are now reprogrammed absolutely automatically. After a few moments, the TH550 wireless chronothermostat VL will acquire the new information, signaling the coming synchronization. With the switching on of the display backlighting, let us now configure a shutter managed by radio home automation modules. We click on plus. We go to Home Automation Devices, Acquiring Devices, and we choose an OFOM H2016WL. We take the first one available in blue color. We click on plus to add it, and here we have to choose whether the version of the IE, a standard inputs and outputs module, or a shutter module. In our case, we choose roller shutter. We confirm. We go ahead. In the name assigned, base, we go to customize it by writing, for example, living room roller shutter, so that it is directly identified. And we confirm to add the service in the plant structure. Thus executed, we will have the living room blind, which will be controlled only through the QBE user app. In our example, however, we want to complete the configuration of this blind by going to add remote buttons for local control of the curtain. We therefore click on More, Home Automation Devices, Device Acquisition, and let's add an OH4IWL input module to have a raise button and a low button. In our case, we are using the first type of wireless home automation module OH4IWL, while the second type, named OH4IWLB, indicates a battery-operated wireless module. We then select the first 230-volt model. We confirm with OK. We move on. The first input will be at low, raise. The second input will be the button. Close. While we are going to disable inputs and force so they don't appear unused in the configuration structure of our QBE Smarthome. At this point, we notice that the raise and lower buttons are present. As long as the chain appears, and dragging them to the living room curtain. At this point being the button of opening, we go to assign precisely the open command as an action toward the living room curtain. We confirm, and from the same way, We go to select the low button. We hold down its icon, the chain symbol appears. We drag it toward the living room curtain and give it the close command. Once the configuration of this portion of the system is done, we are going to select the OH2-016WL form that manages the living room curtain. We will select the Edit button, because in the settings for closing and opening, we are going to change the timing of the service activation. For example, we may have identified that to fully raise the curtain, we need 10 seconds. We are therefore going to indicate that. In this case, we go to right 10, which are the 10 seconds, for the open command. Scrolling down this window, we notice that the system input also appears. That is the command that comes through the app. Again, we associate the value of 10 seconds. We confirm, and we go to edit the closing times. Also in this case, the execution time of the command input will be 10 seconds, both for the remote button and for the command that will arrive from the app. Let's go to Confirm and click on Device Program to apply the settings. At this point, as we return to our plant structure, we notice that the device will be automatically programmed, matched to the buttons and by the living room curtain. We now go on to add a tubular game series KBS. We press the plus key, select the tubular menu and enter device acquisition. It is the first acquisition and we have already configured both upper and lower end stops for the tubular we are acquiring. The tubular already works with its dedicated radio control. We are now acquiring it so that our customer can then control it via QBE app. We then press the Yes button. We start the acquisition of the radio controls and then we press Acquire. At this time, we need to press the Stop button on the first radio control we have available. We don't have any other radio controls. And then we press stop on our first radio control and finish the acquisition procedure of the radio controls by pressing OK. We now perform the association and scanning of all the tubulars in the system. Because this is the first time we are performing tubular recognition in the QBE SetUp app, so we have to press the first button on the left, acquire and scan, then pressing Start we start. At this time, We are going to search through the 15 channels available in our radio control. In which of them tubulars have been configured? In our example, we have only one tubular configured in channel 3. The app actually tells us which channel it is scanning, on which radio control. Right now it is scanning channel 2 of radio control number 1. Even though we know we have only one tube in channel 3 of radio control 1, we cannot cancel or stop the acquisition and scanning. But we still have to wait for all 15 channels to be scanned. We do not press cancel, we do not press close, until the app indicates that it has scanned all 15 channels of that radio control. Upon completion of the scan, the tubulars detected in the channels assigned to them in the radio control will be displayed. In this case, the tubular 1 in channel 3. We press OK and this will be programmed into our app. To configure an automation came the QBE SetUp App redirects us to, from the menu dedicated to the automation, to the use of the Connect SetUp App. In case it is already installed in our mobile device, we will go to open it to proceed with the configuration. Otherwise, you can download it by simply clicking the app icon displayed on this screen. Let us now go on to add a Qbe burglar alarm control panel. In this menu, we find it indicated by the name Security. Let's click on Security Central. If necessary, let's go and change the IP address. That is, the IP address assigned to that central, included in our home network. Should these settings be okay, we apply them. And we also go on to configure the burglar alarm control panel as a device controlled through the QBE Smarthome. Let's go over how to add the graphical maps. We then click on the 3 bars at the top left of our screen next to Plant. We open the menu of commands available in the app and select the item view map. At this point, we need to rotate our smartphone or tablet into landscape mode and notice that the following appears. The menu referring to the configuration of graphic maps. There is a first map with standard image. Already prepared, then named No Name Map, meaning No Name Map. We click on the pencil icon to change the displayed name. In our example, instead of No Name Map, we write Kitchen. We click on End. We exit from the configuration by clicking on the arrow in the upper left corner next to the Edit Map. And let's go Add with the plus button that we notice in the upper right corner instead. Another room, which we'll call the living room. Again, let's click on the pencil icon. And we go to customize the name of the image to living room. Let's go back, then click with the little arrow next to Edit Map. And go back to the Graphic Map Overview page, where we will have the kitchen and living room at this point. Having arrived here, we need to insert the objects, that is, the devices that will be driven within the reference map. We must be careful that the objects will always be included in the first available map, in our case, in the kitchen. This means, for example, that by adding the dimmer light living room, we will see that this will be placed in the kitchen. But we should go and move it to the inside of the living room in order to then be able to pilot it properly from this reference room. In the kitchen, we are going to house the services available for the kitchen itself. To complete the configuration of the graphic map, we will have to go and press the right arrow key at the top left. Upper right excuse. This will transfer the maps. To the memory of the QBE Smarthome. In the message that will appear of information with the maps successfully transferred, we will press OK. To configure the QBE Smarthome in the home network, we need to use the dedicated user app, i.e. the QBE app. Once launched in the app, is prompted to enter the user credentials, Qbe Connect, and then username and password. We type in our username, which in our example is test user, and its password. At this point, we click not on login, as the system still needs to be configured, but we press the button at the bottom, Configure. We now receive an information from the system inviting us to connect to the QBE in access point mode. We then access the settings of the network on our smartphone. We activate Wi-Fi, and we search among the various available networks, the network that is proposed with the name QBE and its serial number. We select it, we wait to receive the notification from our phone of maintaining of the Wi-Fi network that has no internet connection. We confirm the use of it in the message that appears in the app. At this point, we return to our app, QBE. We are asked to check the status of the blue LED at the base of the QBE Smarthome and the red LED present near the Ethernet network port and the USB port, power supply of the same device. We need to indicate in the QBE app their status at that time. In our example, we have the blue LED on and the red LED on, so we select red and blue on. We emphasize that the green LED at this stage is normally flashing, so it is required to indicate only the blue LED and the red LED, indicating the network connection status. By clicking on the Next, we are prompted to enter the data of our home Wi-Fi network. In our case, the name of the network is Qbe Home Wi-Fi. The type of protection is WP@PSK. And we go to enter the password. We confirm with Next. We disconnect from the Wi-Fi network. QBE Smarthome Share. And connect to the home Wi-Fi network. We return to the screen of our QBE app and click OK, waiting at this time for the QBE Smarthome, now that it has acquired the home Wi-Fi network information, to go and enroll in the Qbe Connect cloud. Once this operation is completed, the customer will notice that the system already configured by their installer via the QBE SetUp app will be made visible and thus available for normal management in the QBE user app. From that moment on, he will therefore be able to act to control the included devices. We then await the procedure just described. Here we took over the system with the settings that our installer made on our QBE. Only those services actually configuredly remember lighting shutters, central burglar alarm and temperature control will be visible in the QBE app.